That's a hot mug, guy.
Hey guys, this is my review for episode 14 of Supernatural season 10, and I might get a little bit of shit for this one, but we will see. And I know it kind of goes without saying, but stay around to the end of the review because I'm going to reveal what I was talking about in the last episode. It starts off interesting enough. What you think is a ghost in a prison area actually is a very pleasant surprise by the wonderfully astounding beard and hair combo that is Cain. Turns out that Cain is still a bit killy and wanting to perform magic tricks. Sam and Dean go to investigate while Castiel interrogates demons, while Crowley is playing phone games while killing off his own staff because his mother Rowena is still twisting her finger in his ear.
That's my boy.
Castiel finds out that Cain has been into some natural burial. Turns out that Cain has got a taste back for the whole killing people thing, even though he doesn't have the mark anymore, but it seems to have left an impression on him and he's kind of going insane. He's killing people who have the capability for murder, which I guess is bad. Even their lineage is up on the table. Cass meets up with the boy and they find out that Cain's next victim is the young boy of the killer that he killed earlier. With everything going on, Dean knows what he's got to do, including getting the blade back from Crowley to kill Cain. Now, this should be interesting, right? It's not exactly wooing me yet, but back to Crowley. He admits that he knows his mother has been screwing him over and then does nothing. Yeah, I had a thought something was going to happen there too. Turns out he's even totally fine with helping her. Dean gives him a call and has a little bit of a fib about Crowley being on Cain's list, which encourages Crowley to help them. They meet up and Dean admits to Sam that he is scared of what's going to happen if he has to kill Cain. Now, admittedly, we actually don't know what might happen. There are actual stakes happening here. Kind of. I was interested at this point. It's what happened afterwards. Cain makes some pretty quick work of Cass before falling into the trap. Dean gives his goodbyes before walking in on Cain. Almost like a man walking towards his doom, perhaps? They do a pretty decent job of building this up before they cut to commercial. And then it's when they come back from commercial that I don't know. This just didn't work for me. The fight between the two is decent at first, if maybe a bit theatrical because Cain's just throwing Dean about. Turns out though, it was all a ploy for Cain to get the blade back. But just before you think he's about to kill Dean, he comes up a little bit shorthanded. With Dean now in the upper hand, he is begging for Cain to stop, in a way so he can almost have some false hope for himself. Cain confirms what Dean already knows, so Dean ends it. And it's pretty surreal when he walks back to everyone else because you have no idea what he's going to do. Except he does nothing much. He hands Cass back the blade and tells Crowley about the lies he told him. Crowley goes back to Rowena, who super gaslights him, but she does have some decent points.
Why, it breaks my heart to see what a colossal numbnut you've become. You're no king. Not anymore. You're the
Episode ends with Dean just looking like dog shit but saying he's okay. Sam, on the other hand, is spooked, and that's kind of it. It's kind of weird, right, that you would have such a seemingly pivotal episode end so lukewarm. I don't know if it's just me, but I found this episode really lacking despite some really interesting stuff to start it off with. The climax is just really disappointing. It's not an Abaddon fight bad level, thank God, but it really isn't anything to shout home about. I was fairly disappointed that this is the end of Cain. I know he comes back kind of in one more episode, sort of, but this is it? Like, this was such an interesting character, and you had maybe 3 or 4 episodes with him, and his exit is just dull. I get what you're trying to do, and maybe it might have been more interesting if this was a 2-parter episode, which God forbid, maybe they could have tried it because Lord knows that there's a bunch of episodes in this season that did not need to fucking happen. I feel like they really just dropped the ball with this episode, but that's me personally thinking. And I'm going to reflect that with my score. I'm going to give this episode a 3 out of 7. But those are my thoughts. Let's see what you guys have to say. I'm curious if any of you had the same thought as me.
The Executioner song is an episode with interesting concepts, but makes Cain poorly utilized. I find it fascinating that the first murderer, Cain, is killing his descendants because he feels he owes it to humanity. I wish the writers could have explained more about what triggered it. This would later come back to Dean mirroring Cain killing a family legacy of killers. His showdown with Dean is probably the best part of the episode. I do love how Cain brings up that Dean is just living in Cain's story in reverse. But I'm confused about 2 things. How does Dean get the powered by the first blade when he doesn't have the mark? Because he said that without the blade mark, the blade is useless. 2, Dean still has the mark, so shouldn't he just come back as a demon if Cain kills him? It's also nice to see how each of the team did a key part in setting the trap. Still, Sam isn't getting much to do. Castiel helped them locate Cain, but tortured and killed a possessed human to do so. Crowley brought the first blade. Then Dean got to kill Cain. Crowley being used by the Winchesters is understandable given his vulnerability since he's being tainted by human blood since Season 8, yet Rowena manages to stay one step ahead of him, but it doesn't feel that Crowley would buy it no matter how vulnerable he is. All in all, this episode just made me wish we had a cameo appearance of Abel talking to Sam and Cain. Once again, this would have been much better mid-season finale, and it's sad to see Cain killed. He could have been an interesting asset to Dean's wrestle with the inner demons later in the season. That's pretty much it. It's so weird how they killed him off so quick. Like, he felt like he barely had any character in this entire show. The fight with Dean and Cain is tense, especially with neither really wanting to kill each other. Cain kind of did. So this is the point where Dean has decided that he can't find a cure and he'll accept his fate and either be locked away or isolate himself from everyone else. Now, that might not seem as bad as opposed to death, but isolation and loneliness can be their own brand of hell. Yeah, that is true. Remember, even if Dean just isolates himself, he'd have to be cut off from the entire world and not be in contact with Sam and Cass out of fear, the mark making him rationalize killing them. Plus, Cain is only relapsed because he made contact with Dean and started killing in self-defense, so Dean would have had more reason to honor his isolation. Being alone forever can be hell, especially for someone like Dean, who is generally a sociable person. The guy has an easy time making friends. Hell, he's technically friends with the King of Hell. Plus, Dean's whole drive in life is to help people, to save them from the supernatural and kill monsters so they won't hurt anyone else. For Dean, just to give that up, to live a life of a hermit, not being able to help people, especially those who he loves, would be devastating. Yep, that is very true. That's a good overall characterization of Dean. But this episode is a turning point for Sam, who up until now has been useless on the side. I've been on the sidelines, sorry. Now begins his arc to try and save Dean. Now, some fans have the low stakes when the show's previous goals have been to save the world, but no, this is way more important. There's no way Sam can live his life knowing that his best friend and his only living relative is suffering. Some may point out Season 8, but while I hated Sam's decisions that season, in his defense, he thought his brother was in heaven, not suffering. Plus, it's not like Sam was thriving on his own that season. We didn't see him with friends of his own, only a girlfriend who hooked up with him because they were both grieving, and you can't expect that to happen again. I will say it's mirroring a bit of Season 3, but without the finality of it. And I think that's maybe why some people have said that this is Season 3 light, and I kind of agree with that. I like Cain as a character. He was interesting, and I wish they had kept him around longer. I get this episode was trying to foreshadow what would happen to Dean end of the season, where he feels like Sam has to die. My story began killing the brother of my brother. That's how yours will end. But Cain just isolated himself from everyone, and he was fine. Dean doesn't have to die or be sent to the moon. He would just have to stop hunting and go live in the woods somewhere, which would be pretty chill life, not gonna lie. This drama with the mark seems forced. I like bits with Rowena and Crowley, but other than that, this episode felt a little bit boring. Yeah, kind of a cool, interesting counter to what was said earlier. But yeah, it was definitely boring. For an episode as high of stakes as this should be, it felt kind of. Cain was the strongest character in a while, and killing him before he became a generic big bad like Abaddon was the right call. Oh, an interesting take. His overall presence felt mature, restrained, and genuinely intense. However, I felt oddly disconnected from the main characters. Dean's confession about fearing death was valid, but had no weight at this point. We literally had an entire season that was dedicated to that, Season 3. There we go. Crowley, meanwhile, has lost his edge. His arc feels tacked on rather than essential. Cass also suffers from a lack of meaningful interaction. We're told he matters deeply, but we rarely see that bond reinforced. Subtly, it's great, but here it feels like something replaces needed emotional clarity. Also, Sam's character feels pretty sidelined here. On the positives, Cass's intro was beautifully directed, and I also like the final conversation between Dean and Cain. Overall, a big step forward, especially considering the quality of the previous episode, but uneven in execution. Very good point. That's pretty rounded away. If you had thought Halt and Catch Fire was dull, just wait until you sit through Paint It Black. Yeah, no, I have. It is very dull. Even though I was happy seeing Timothy again as Cain, I really didn't like what they did with him. I get the writers wanted to show that what could happen to Dean. The scene between Cain and Dean in the barn was pretty weak to me. It could have been better. Cain was right with the mark. It's unfortunate they didn't use Cain more. And then there's Rowena and Crowley. In a way, she was right about her son and the Winchesters. That's true. Well, there goes Cain. I guess it wasn't terrible, but I don't know. It just felt like very underwhelming. Like, we could have gotten much more from this character. I get the parallel with Dean and how it will drive him over the edge, but they drain Crowley for like 6 more seasons, but couldn't find anything else. From the first killer, a guy with a centuries of stories, nothing. Well, better than what Charlie gets. I'm sure the next villains will be interesting. Ugh.
All right, guys, thank you all for your comments. And now we're going to move on to episode 15. So make sure to give me guys' thoughts about that in the comment section below, and I'll read those off in the next review. And now my reveal, the thing I said I was going to do. Now, some of you may have noticed in the intro for this, I have a Supernatural mug there. And it's because I actually, through a friend of mine, I was able to get some swag of Supernatural. And I am going to be giving it away at the end of this season, sometime after, because I'll be going away at the time when I'm feeling I'm finishing it. But regardless, this is stuff that I'm going to be giving away. The first is this mug. So as you can see, this says Supernatural Season 10 on it. This was the 10th season cup, and this is probably one of the best things about it, to be honest. Now, this one is for those who need an extra gym shirt. I swear to God, there is a symbol here. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there, sort of. I'm going to like do a post on yeah, there it is. You see? It's 15. So this was the Supernatural 15. But you can see how bland they got. Like that's it. This was a swag shirt. They gave this to people who worked on season 15. You can see where CW's budget was going. Now, the two other cool things. Oh yeah, wait a minute. There's a few other things in here. There's some pins in here as well. This one's for season 15. Now, admittedly, while I hate the season, I actually like this pin. That's season 12. That's the British Men of Letters there. Now, this is kind of cool here. This is a patch for anyone who wants to put it on a jacket. That's Stunt Team for season 14. Now, then the last one here, this is the one that might get most people. It's Supernatural 15 years, Supernatural family flair ever. I'm going to do a post on the community wall about this with better photos and representation of these things. Oh, by the way, this shirt is extra 3 large. I should mention that. Like I said, maybe a gym shirt. It's so fucking big. I'm going to do a giveaway at the end of this season, whether it's all of them together or maybe some of it in parts, one to the other. But yeah, basically I'll give more details about that as we go along. I've had these things in my possession for years because I wanted to do this once I ended this journey. Like I said, I'll give more details about how I'm going to do the giveaway and everything. But I hope you guys are interested in that more than the season itself, because honestly, this is what's been keeping me going for the season. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like I said, I'll give more details about it soon in future videos, as well as the community wall post. So make sure to keep your eyes on things as we go along with this journey. Anyways, guys, that's all for me. Hope to see you guys next time.